Condo markets are crashing across Toronto and the GTA, and it's going to spill over into Western Canada. How do I know this? It's because I told you this. Let's get to it, folks. There's a lot that's going on, and I've been sent quite a few emails on this. Let's go over it and find out what is going on and what we were telling you the last 10 years and what to watch out for. Canada says property bubble not great for locals but good for foreign investors. Now, Canada was heavily dependent on bringing in Chinese money laundering to prop up our housing market and our GDP. And obviously the locals could not afford to live in their own cities, so they mass exodus and left a lot of the big cities. And this was April 12, 2021. And this was the height of the pandemic. You would think that everyone would have stayed put, and then that people from a country of origin where the virus originated from, quote, quote, how were they coming in? But they were coming in tenfold to buy up our real estate and leave everything empty and get their capital flows out of China. Now, everyone's going to tell me in the comments, no, Mike, it's your government that's doing this. Our government is China. I told you this a million times. Australia's government is China. They're Chinese. You don't need to look like a Chinese to be a Chinese. Once you take their money and do stuff for them, you become those people. Tell me a government in Canada or a government agency or a government in Canada that's for the Canadian people and Canadian people interests. I'd like to know. Oh, Pierre Poilievre. No, he's not. He's not going to do nothing about the money laundering because he can't. And he's not going to do nothing about the public sector that's too big, which is all basically government workers, which he can't, which is bankrupting our country. So there's nothing. There's very little to few people out there that will do things for Canadians. They'll do them for the Chinese. They'll do them for the Indians. They'll do them for every other culture except the people that built this country. Let's keep going, guys. This is an interesting one. This was sent to me 3 times today. Oh, the most voted for mayor of Canada in Canadian history is over here on the live stream. I'm going to show you guys a little clip I have here saved of that to make you guys laugh. The most voted for mayor of Canada. Let me see if I can find the clip here. Where's there it is? I see it there. Okay. So anyways, after 8 months on the market and $135,000 price drop, this Toronto condo owner has had 0 offers. So they're going to keep dropping the prices on condos. We're going to go over another market that's crashing right now in the United States. A condo market's completely crashing right now. $135,000 price drop will buy you 4 condos in this other American city that we're going to get to in a few minutes here. So condos are crashing, right? And Canada sees domestic and foreign investors pull out at record pace. So this was April 2024. Canada has historically had a reputation of a safe haven for global investors, but those days are suddenly gone. So they are pulling out their money. They are at record pace and leaving the bag or leaving the Canadian proper with the problems, right? The Canadian proper that built the infrastructure are now basically holding the problems, right? As they take their capital out of the country. And I can only drop the price so much inside one condo owner's desperate attempt to sell in Toronto ghost town market. So they're calling it a ghost town market. Why? Because it was propped up by money. Money laundering report, a wake-up call for Canada. But some provinces are skeptical. So according to this, in 2019, there was $47 billion laundered across Canada in 1 year, and 99.6% of it is from China. Here are Canada's top cities where foreign investors are dropping capital. So here it is right here. Canada's all foreign investors. So St. John's, Vancouver, Campbellton, St. John's again, Cape Breton. It just keeps going and going. Why isn't this owned by Canadians? And why are Canadians, and that goes back to the video I made. Canadians don't own Canada, right? They don't own Canada. It's owned by foreign investors. Toronto's luxury condo market takes a big hit as sales over $1 million drop 35%. So we're going to see condo towers like this going for 30 grand. I'm going to show you guys where it's going for right now, where they're actually experiencing a real condo crash or condo crash because wages are no longer in line with real estate prices. Now, what happens is when foreign investors buy up your market and launder so much money, they prop up the housing market with artificial shortages. And what happens? The locals can't afford to get in. The locals can't compete with money laundering, right? But blame your government. Our government is China. Because if our government had Canadian interests at heart, they'd stop the money laundering back in 2010 with the Vancouver model. We wouldn't be in this problem today, and Canadians will be owning multiple properties and actually renting them out to immigrants that are coming over to help them out to get started. No, it's the immigrants that are coming in, or the migrants, or whatever you want to call them, that are coming in, parking their money here, and making the Canadian proper that built the country suffer and fought the wars too, right? And here we go. Foreign investors are scooping up new condo supply in Toronto and Vancouver again. Well, when is this from? Well, this is from May 24, 2021, at the height of the pandemic. Look at this. So money was moving, huge amounts of money, and leaving the Canadian proper out of their own markets. And Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. That's my favorite article. I bring it up all the time. And this is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. According to this, there's 400 billion laundered. And this was back in 2019, 400 billion. And why? Because Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, and tourists. They were working on 500,000 per year. It says it right here. And they come in and they spend a lot of money and they prop up our economy. Our economy is no longer being propped up by manufacturing, fabrication, exportation. We don't own our mines anymore because China owns everything. We don't own our anything. We don't own any rights to anything because China owns a majority of it. It won't be much longer till they own all our telecom companies because they're major shareholders in all our major 3 telecom companies in Canada with its protectionism. It's not going to be too long before they own everything. Right? They did the same thing in Jamaica, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, and the blue states of America. And now Americans are waking up. Look at Trinica here. Look at him with this little thing sitting down there with this the Trinica there. Prime Minister Justin Trinica with Chinese foreign minister. So they want to bring in more money into Canada, and there's a lot of deals. And there's no deals for Canadians to get jobs, and no deals for Canadians because you go to the banking system. A majority of the banking system in Canada is like 52% Chinese across Canada, like that work in the banks. But the people that built the banks are the European expansion that built it, but we don't get those jobs, right? So, I mean, you see where this is going here, right? And I'm an immigrant. I'm a Portuguese. My wife's an immigrant. My whole family are immigrants. And they're labeling now the immigrants as the bad guys, the bad people that are coming in and destroying Canada. But no, there's different. There's immigration and there's migration and there's money launderers. There's 3 divisions, right? Now let's go into what we told you people. Because a lot of content creators are now making these videos today and saying, look what I found in the condo market. Look what I found. Oh my God, look what's happening here. Well, we're going to go back 10 years, 8 to 10 years and tell you. Toronto in serious trouble. Mass condo sell-offs by 2025 as youth mass exodus Toronto. 6 years, 9 months ago. Massive condo oversupply, 134% in Toronto. First condos will crash, then to GTA, and then inward to Greater Toronto 4 years ago. Toronto condo ripoff, $795,000 for what? Massive crash by 2025, 5 years ago. Toronto condos taken off due to CCP Chinese money laundering 5 years ago. Condo crash will start in Toronto, then move west to Vancouver. Mass exodus by Canadians 2025, 4 years ago. Canadian housing, not for Canadians. Toronto penthouse condo sells for $16 million. And then I'm showing you houses in the States here. Look, guys, for like 13 grand, 14 grand, 20 grand. Toronto condo oversupply, housing supply narrative is total BS. Wake up, people, fake GDP. Condo prices dropped $20,000 in 1 month. So we were seeing this up and down resuscitation mode where Toronto condos were on survival mode for the longest time. Toronto home prices invaded by investors. This will cause mass exodus of middle class 8 years ago. Toronto new condo sales fall 53%. CCP Chinese money laundering on the way to save the day 6 years ago. So that's when Toronto was... so it's a trap. Look. It's a trap. Toronto condo buyers, beware. Major financial impacts ahead. They will raise rates 6 years ago. So it just keeps going on and on. We put the warnings out there before all these social media influencers even existed on social media. And so where are they experiencing a condo crash? Well, in the state of Florida. Florida does not allow money laundering. You cannot launder money in Florida. You're not allowed. Money laundering, like, is in Canada, it's wide open for foreign investors. But here you go, guys. Here is your condo correction in Florida, and these are really some really nice places here. And you could pick and choose what you want in some states where incomes are tied to real estate prices, not money laundering from China. Money laundering from China will destroy your middle class. And there's a condo, a huge condo. Oh man, I used to live in this area too. There's so many of them. You see? It just goes on and on and on. You take your pick. Because wages and incomes are tied to real estate prices. On and on. You take your pick. So some people are dropping their prices by 150,000, 200,000. You could buy multiple of these properties. Right? It just keeps going on and on. And the condo crash is getting bigger, and it's gonna be a tsunami of condo crash in Florida. Is gonna go first, and then it's gonna go to Texas, Georgia, and South Carolina. It's gonna spread, and they don't allow money laundering. So investors like, oh, I could go there and I could go buy lots of stuff there. No, you get caught money laundering in those states. I think it serves the death sentence. I mean, you could get the death sentence for laundering money, right? So that's a big deal because you're destroying the economy. It's worse than counterfeiting, right? But Canada never saw that. Canada saw that as helping the Chinese move their money, capital flows from China, bringing it into Canada to destroy Canada. They don't see that. Now they sprinkle in the Indians and then blame the Indians for it to protect Chinese communist interests. And that's what Canada's been doing. Oh, but your government did this. Yeah, our government is Chinese. Our government is China. But you guys don't see that, right? And why am I bringing this up and why am I being so hard on the Chinese? It's because I was part of Canada's problem. From 2006 to 2010, quite frankly, the problem and the root with Canadian problems in that time was the Portuguese. And Canada saw that and got rid of tons of deportation of Portuguese and thousands of illegal Portuguese immigrants. There were 500,000 Portuguese nationals living and working in Canada, and 15,000 were believed to be working illegally. They ended up deporting 54,000 by the end of 2008. But hold on. But they're illegal, Mike. They should be deported. They were on a path to citizenship in Canada. The Conservative government took over and said, we don't like Portuguese people. I have a video I put up of jobs I got fired because employers found out I was Portuguese. Right? So, quite frankly, the root of the problem in 2006 to 2009, 2010 was the Portuguese. What's the problem with Canada from 2010 to 2025? It's the Chinese. Oh, but it's your government. It's your government. No, our governments are China because our governments haven't done nothing for the Canadians. Right? You go back to this article. Right? Canada says property bubble, not great for locals, but good for foreign investors. So they actually want to build our GDP and build our economy off of real estate. Not wages and incomes, so that real estate prices balance and drop and correct, right? We're supposed to see a correction in Canada in 2010 in the housing market. But the Canadian government worked with China because they are China. And they said, we don't care about the Canadians. Bring your laundered money in through the Vancouver model and buy up whatever you want. And what happened was they basically created artificial shortages with empty homes. We were already registering back in 2018 on our videos that there was 1.8 million empty homes owned by foreign Chinese investors. Now there's about 2.8 to 3 million entire condo towers owned by Chinese investors. Same thing happening in Seattle. Same thing happening. Once Vancouver put the foreign buyers tax, everybody went down to Seattle and Toronto, destroyed those two markets overnight. Foreign investors. Frenetic pace. Right? Frenetic pace. Now, what's our government? So this is the most voted for mayor. So this was the day after the election. This lady, Mayor Olivia Chow, she won as the most voted for mayor in the history of Canada for the city of Toronto. There's her government official page right there at the bottom. And this is the day after the election. She had 1,100 followers. And I took a screenshot of my Facebook page, 121,000 followers, and I can't read. You see that? And then you go back a week later, she had 80,000 followers. It just completely changed. And I looked at a lot of the followers that were, you couldn't even access them. So there it is right there. This is the day after the election. This is my page the day after the election. So I wanted to show this to you guys here, so you guys could see how you're being defrauded, how your government is China. Your government, and China has admitted to infiltrating Canadian Parliament multiple times, right? Our government is China. So when you tell me your governments are doing this, yeah, the Chinese government in Canada, with police stations in Canada, are doing this. The people that built this country are not welcome in this country anymore. But what's going to happen is when the infrastructure starts to fall and there's no European expansion left, oh, we got a lot of trade workers. Right there. Yeah. Good luck. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.